Yes, can you see the screen clearly, all of you? So
Yes, sir.
in today's class we'll discuss one of the important topic, and this will be the repeatedly asked questions in VTO exam, like explain torque equation of DC motor. Here you are supposed to derive the derivation for torque equation of DC motor. Okay. Now let us see the torque equation of DC motor. So this is the armature. Whatever you have represented in the diagram here, this is the armature with radius r, and this is rotating in clockwise direction, and this tangential arrow mark downward direction, whatever we are showing here, this is one kind of tangential force. Okay. Now let us see. Let us see what do you mean by torque. Can anybody tell me why torque is essential for the motor? What is that torque? Yes. Why do you want torque for the motor? Whether it is AC motor or DC motor, we are saying that torque is very important. If you take your induction motor or any kind of DC motor, for any kind of the motor, you want torque. So now my question is, what do you mean by torque? Here it is clearly mentioned that turning or twisting force about an axis is called torque. So this torque is nothing but what? A force, one kind of twisting force that makes the armature to rotate. That makes the armature in the sense rotor of the motor. It is going to it is going to make the rotor in motion. Okay. A force that makes the rotor to move. That is nothing but torque here. So higher the torque, more will be the output. That is the meaning. Now let us see the things one by one here. This is the diagram for torque equation where we have shown armature of the DC motor, and it is rotating in a clockwise direction, and this is the tangential force experienced by the armature with it is having the radius capital R. Okay. Turning or twisting force about an axis is called torque. Okay. Consider an armature core of radius capital R meters acted upon by a circumferential force capital F newtons. So here you are given with a armature core with radius capital R, and it is going to experience certain circumferential force of F newtons as shown in figure dot A. Of F newtons as shown in figure dot A. Then if the armature is rotating at a speed of capital N RPM, so this armature, if it is rotating at some speed, that to capital N RPM, then the angular speed of the armature. So armature is experiencing certain circumferential force of capital N newtons, and then it is moving with certain speed capital N. With all this thing, now it is having certain angular speed. Angular speed means the rotational speed, and it is denoted by omega. Omega is given by the expression 2 pi n by 60, and its unit is radian per second. So the angular speed of the armature of the DC motor, it is rotating at an angular speed of omega equal to 2 pi n by 60. So to rotate this armature in clockwise direction, it wants certain torque, it wants certain force, right? So the angular speed of this rotor is omega is equal to 2 pi n by 60 radian per second. Then work done in one revolution. Suppose if it is rotating for one revolution, then how much is the work done by that motor? Work done in one revolution is given by W is equal to capital F into distance traveled in one revolution. So this F is nothing but the force that is experienced by the uh, armature here, and whereas the total distance covered by the armature, since armature is cylindrical in shape or round in shape, so area of circle is, circumference of the circle is what is the formula for circumference of the circle?
2 pi r, sir.
2 pi r. So here force into 2 pi r joules, because it is similar to the circle shape. For that sake, if it is going to rotate for one revolution time, then it is going to cover certain distance, that is nothing but 2 pi r, and it is having certain force, circumferential force measured in newtons, that is capital F. So totally the work done in one revolution is W is equal to F into distance traveled in one revolution, that is equal to F into 2 pi r joules. Okay. Then power developed P is equal to work done divided by time. So after getting the expression for work done, now let us calculate what is the power developed. Power developed P is given by the expression work done divided by time. So what is this work done? Anyhow, we have calculated work done is given by F into 2 pi r, and time is what? Time it is required for one revolution. For one revolution, it is going to do this much amount of the work. That is nothing but F into 2 pi r. And to do that work, we want certain time. That time is nothing but what? Time for one revolution given by the expression 60 by n. 60 divided by n. So now this n is nothing but what? Speed of the rotor or the armature. So this n, it goes to the numerator. If it is going to the numerator part, then we are going to rearrange the expression for power developed. P is equal to F into R into 2 pi n by 60. F into R into 2 pi n by 60. So now Fr, we have taken it separately. 2 pi n, this n goes to the numerator part. Then you will be left out with what? 2 pi n by 60. But what is this 2 pi n by 60 in the beginning of the expression? 2 pi n by 60 is nothing but what?
Omega.
Omega, that is nothing but angular speed of the armature of the rotor. So now F into R, you keep it aside, and 2 pi n by 60, this can be replaced by the term omega. So this will be your term omega. So now this force into what is that? Radius F into R, this term, force into radius. Now whatever we have seen here, this is nothing but the torque, force with certain radius. So this is nothing but torque, and this is nothing but omega. So now, and this is the power P. So the expression changes to, therefore power developed P is equal to product of torque multiplied. This is not time, this is torque. Torque multiplied by angular speed. Okay. P is equal to T into omega. Then let us see where T is equal to what? Torque in Newton meter. So this T is nothing but what? Torque in Newton meter, which is nothing but product of force into radius. That is force into radius. And omega is nothing but angular speed in radian per second, which is given by 2 pi n by 60. Then let TA is equal to gross torque developed by the armature of the motor. It is called as armature torque. So you know that DC motor is having the armature, right? And in that armature, it is going to experience certain force. That force, which is going to develop the torque, which is nothing but the gross torque developed by the armature. Okay, this is denoted by TA. Then comes to the power now. Because of the torque, there will be certain power in the armature. Because of the torque, there will be certain power in the armature. Okay. Then that power is nothing but the gross mechanical power developed within the armature. So gross mechanical power developed within the armature, it is denoted by P to the suffix M. P to the suffix M. Power means what? It is a product of voltage into current. Voltage, this is the basic equation. But now here we are calculating armature power. Armature means what? Which type of voltage that armature will be having in the DC motor? What is the voltage quantity in armature?
Back EMF.
Back EMF. Back EMF, right? So that voltage is nothing but the back EMF, and because of this voltage, there will be certain armature current, that is nothing but IA. So now gross mechanical power developed in the armature PM is equal to V into I. In place of V, we are considering back EMF, which is nothing but the voltage quantity, and I is nothing but armature current. So this is what gross mechanical power developed in the armature. Okay, then if speed of the motor is capital N RPM, if it is running at a speed of N RPM, then power in armature, is equal to what? Armature torque into omega. We know that power P is nothing but armature torque into omega. Okay. So what is the power in the armature here? Already we have seen it is EB into IA. So replace this PM term. This is nothing but PM. So now this PM changes to what? EB into IA. That is equal to armature torque means what? TA. Omega is nothing but 2 pi n by 60. Fine. Now just to rearrange the above equation, whatever EB into IA is equal to TA into 2 pi n by 60, it is given here. From this, now you get the expression for the torque. But we know that back EMF equation is of the motor is given by what? Back EMF EB in a motor, that to DC motor, is given by what? EB is equal to P pi NZ by 60A. Am I right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now This EB, whatever it is there, back EMF in the armature, you replace this EB by the term P pi NZ by 60A in this equation. Then equation becomes what? P pi NZ by 60A, IA as it is, then TA 2 pi n by 60. Since it is a derivation for torque equation, just you rearrange the terms and get the expression for torque. This is the required answer for us. So now you just rearrange the terms. On rearranging, TA is equal to 1 upon 2 pi IA pz by A. So this 1 upon 2 pi is constant. If you solve this equation, then this 1 upon 2 pi value will be 0.159. Pi is the flux, IA is the armature current, pz by A. And what is the unit for the torque? Unit for the torque
Newton
is
per meter.
Newton meter. So here, after rearranging the terms, you will be getting the final expression or the derivation part for what is that? Torque equation. That is torque TA is equal to 0.159 pi IA pz by E, and its unit is Newton meter. So still here you are supposed to derive the torque equation for DC motor. And now from this torque equation, if you check the values here, 0.159, this is constant. Number of poles, this is constant. Number of conductors, Z is also constant. Number of parallel paths, A is also constant. So in this case, I can say that torque is directly proportional to what? Torque CL 0.159 is constant, P is constant, Z is constant, A is constant. So which are the variable quantities here?
Yes.
Phi to IA.
IA.
IA. Along with that,
Flux produced in the
Phi.
flux is also variable. So torque is directly proportional to what? Flux into armature current. So this is very important equation which helps us to study characteristics of DC motors in the next upcoming classes. So you should remember from the derivation part or the torque equation of DC motor, finally torque is directly proportional to flux into armature current, and it all depends upon what type of motor you are dealing with. If it is DC shunt motor, then flux will be constant. If it is series motor, then what is that? Pi is directly proportional to pi SC. Pi is directly proportional to ISC in the case of DC series motor. Pi is directly proportional to series field armature current. And once again, it is proportional to what? IA and ISC both are same. IA and in case of DC series motor, IL equal to ISC is equal to IA, right? So now this flux is dependent on field current, right? So if you are given with a DC series motor, then flux is directly proportional to ISC, and once again it is proportional with IA. And in that case, I can replace this pi by what term here? So if it is DC series motor, this pi can be replaced by what? IA. Now your torque is directly proportional to what? In the case of DC series motor, it will be IA into IA means what? It will be directly proportional to IA square. So the nature of the graph will be parabolic in nature. If you draw the torque versus armature current characteristics, then torque versus armature current characteristics will be parabolic in nature. But if you take DC shunt motor, then flux will be constant. In that case, torque is directly proportional to the armature current. Torque is directly proportional to the armature current. Then in that case, what will happen? In that case, you are getting linear graph. You are getting the linear graph like that. If it is, what is that? Uh, Torque is directly proportional to IA square, then graph will be parabolic in nature. Is it clear? Torque is direct. Torque is directly proportional to armature square of the armature current if it is series motor. If it is shunt motor, then it is directly proportional and it will be like linear characteristics. Is it clear? So this is the torque equation. These things we'll be seeing in the characteristics of DC motor in the subsequent classes. Do you have any doubts in the torque equation of DC motor? If it is asked from here till to the last point, Till here you are supposed to derive the expression for torque equation. Is it clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now we'll see certain problems on this. A 4-pole DC motor takes a 50 ampere armature current. The armature has lap connected 480 conductors. The flux per pole is 20 milliwebers. Calculate the gross torque developed by the armature of the motor. Right. So now solution you can see here. What is given? Given is number of poles equal to 4. Then what type of motor it is? Lap connected. In the lap connected, number of poles is equal to number of parallel paths. So since poles are 4, then A is equal to P equal to 4. Then how many conductors are there? 480. And armature current is 50 ampere. Then flux given is 20 milliwebers. That is 20 into 10 raised to minus 3 webers. Now with all these given parameters, just to calculate torque equation. So here it is very simple to calculate. Just you need to make use of what? Basic torque equation. So your basic torque equation is what here? Torque TA is equal to 0.159 pi Ia Pz by A. Pi Ia Pz by A. So 0.159 pi is how much? 20 milliwebers. Armature current Ia is how much? 50. Then number of poles is what? 4. Z is 480. A is equal to P, that is also once again 4. So if you simplify, the armature torque is 76.32 Newton meters. This is very simple. Just to understand the concept of torque equation, here I have taken the example for torque equation, numerical problem. Now we'll see different types of torque in the motor. Types of torque in the motor, okay. So one thing I want to ask you here is that torque is produced in which part of the motor now? Torque is nothing but what? Force. That force that makes the motor part to rotate. So torque is produced in which part now?
Rotor. Rotor एकल motor.
Rotor. Rotor means what? It is armature, because armature itself is the rotor. Right. Now let us see how that torque is getting divided into various types. Types of torque in the motor. So whatever torque it is developed in the rotor or the armature of the DC motor, whether the whole torque is available to the connected load or not. Right. Now let us see here. This is the diagram where this is the armature of the motor, in which we are getting the armature torque, or the generated torque denoted by TA. And here this motor is coupled to the load. In between that load and the armature torque, you are having what? What is this?
Shaft, sir.
It is shaft. It is shaft. So in between torque, generated torque or the armature torque, this motor is coupled to the load via the shaft. But now see that whatever torque equation TA value you have obtained in the armature, is it completely available to the load, or where it is getting wasted? That we can see here. Now the next concept here is types of torque in the motor. Sometimes the question will also be asked on this. Explain the different types of torque in the DC motor. Okay. The torque which is developed in the armature, that is gross torque, is denoted by TA. So whatever the torque we have generated in the armature, that is denoted by TA in the armature, the rotor. Then mechanical power developed in the armature is transmitted to the load through the shaft of the motor. So whatever mechanical power it is generated in the armature, rotational power, that rotational power it is driving to certain load via the shaft. Then it is impossible to transmit the entire power developed by the armature to the load. Yes or no? Because in between we are having certain shaft there. Which type of losses you may expect there? Here this is the generated torque, and this generated torque is driving to certain load via this shaft. And now whatever generated torque it is there, it is not going to reach completely to the load, because in between there will be having certain shaft torque. Finally, I can say that TA is equal to TF plus TSH. TA is equal to TF plus TSH. Is it clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then shaft torque magnitude is always less than armature torque. So this shaft torque, whatever useful torque it is available at the load, this will be always smaller than generated torque TA. Why? Because certain losses has been taking place at the shaft side. So TSH is always smaller than TA. Speed of the motor remains same all along the shaft. Here speed will be completely constant. That will be remaining same, which will be, say, for example, it is rotating at n rpm. Then the product of the shaft torque TSH and the angular speed omega, that is radian per second, is called power available at the shaft. So here you can see that product of T, that is torque, and the angular speed. T into omega is what? Just to recall basic equation, power is given by what? Power is equal to T into omega, where T is the torque and omega is the angular speed. Okay. Suppose the speed of the motor remains same all along the shaft, say n rpm, then the product of the shaft torque. Now this T is nothing but TSH here in this case, shaft torque, and the angular speed is omega, and the product of TSH into omega, now it becomes what? Torque, sorry, power that is available at the shaft. So this I can write it as PSH. Power available at the shaft is nothing but TSH into omega. That is net output of the motor. The net output of the motor. Okay. Net output means here you will be getting PSH, because at the output side only we are connecting the load. So this is power available at the load is PSH. This PSH is because of what? Product of TSH into omega. That is TSH into omega. And that is nothing but net output of the motor. Net output of the motor. Then maximum power of a motor can be delivered to the load safely is called output rating of the motor. So how much power the armature is delivering safely to the load, that is called as what? Output rating of the motor. Suppose you are having certain motor, means all the motors are given with certain ratings. So that rating, what it indicates, if you take any electrical motors from the shop, if you are purchasing, that rate motor will be having certain specification, right? How much load it is supporting and all. So that load supporting factor, like output rating, it shows that how much load it can safely handle. That is nothing but output rating of the motor. So maximum power of a motor can be delivered to the load safely is called output rating of a motor. So how much power it can safely provide to this load, that is PSH. How much PSH it is safely delivering to this connected load, that safe power, that is nothing but called as, that is nothing but the output rating of the machine. So if it is delivering huge amount of the power and that power is not desirable to this load, then I cannot say that is the output rating of the motor. Always output rating means what? It should be the safer limit for the motor that can be handled very easily. So if you provide huge amount of the power which is not at all required or desirable for the load, then it is, then we cannot say that as a rating of the motor. Are you getting my point? Rating means what? Power should be desirable and it should make the load to handle safely. And generally, it is expressed in HP. So usually, motor ratings will be expressed in terms of HP. It is called HP rating of the motor. So therefore, net output for the motor P out is equal to TSH into omega. I hope you have heard about the motor ratings in HP. Yes or no? Have you come across the word HP for motors?
Yes, sir.
Where? You are right, but where you heard about the word HP? If you take your household water lifting machine, but that is not DC motor,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Just to remember, that is not DC motor. It is single phase AC motor, AC induction motor. That is, yeah, fractional AC motor it is. So there, the water lifting capacity, it all depends upon the consumer. If it is having large apartments, then you need to lift the water from the ground floor to the higher house. Then more amount of the force is required to lift the water. Then in that case, we are going for some higher HP ratings. If it is very small at the ground floor, then we can take low HP rating. Usually one fourth HP, half HP, 1 HP, like that we are speaking for household application. But if it is for agricultural field and all, there we are purchasing large HP motors, because there we want to lift more amount of the water to cover the entire field. Yes or no? So it all depends upon the requirement. If it is for household application, lower HP motor. If it is for higher HP, application, and then we are going for higher power requirement, then we are going for higher HP. But that HP motors, whatever you are using in the home, they are not DC motor. They are induction motors, single phase or three phase. But just I have taken the example here to tell where about the HP ratings of the motor here. Is it clear, all of you? HP stands for
Yes, sir.
horsepower. HP stands for horsepower. So therefore, net output of the motor P out is equal to TSH into omega. The same thing, whatever we have seen here, that net output of the motor, net output means at the output side, PSH is equal to TSH into omega. Okay. P out is equal to TSH into omega. Then we'll see the problem here. A 4-pole lap wound DC motor. So here having 4-pole DC motor, which is having the winding connected in lap fashion. DC motor has 540 conductors. It runs, its speed is what? 1000 RPM. When it is made to run on, to run light, means without load. The flux per pole is 225 milliweber. It is to run on light, means here it is not light. This is a spelling mistake. It should be actually LIT, light. There is a difference between this light and this light. Light load means almost no load. Small load, that is the meaning. The flux per pole is for 25 milliwebers. It is connected to 230 volt DC supply. The armature resistance is 0.8. Calculate induced EMF, armature current, stray loss, and loss torque. So with all these given parameters for DC motor, calculate the parameters like induced EMF EB, armature current IA, stray loss TSH. That stray loss is what? So sum of frictional, windage, and iron loss. Then finally loss torque. Then for these two, very easily you can find it out. But for stray loss and loss torque, some other formulas you need to use here. So solution, let us write all the given points. The given data here is number of poles P is equal to 4, and then A is equal to P, that is equal to 4, because it is lap connected. Then running light load means it is on no load condition. So if it is running on no load means it is a no load speed. It is denoted as N naught, that is nothing but 1000 RPM. Now, number of conductors is how many here? Z is equal to 540. Z is equal to 540, and flux here is 25 milliwebers, that is 25 to 10 raised to minus 3 webers. Now, if it is running at light load or no load means that corresponding speed, because EB is directly proportional to N. Yes or no? Back EMF is directly proportional to N speed. So if it is no load speed, then corresponding back EMF EB naught will be what? Pi P N naught Z by 60A. From this, substitute pi value, that is 25 to 10 raised to minus 3. Poles are 4. No load speed is 1000. And conductors are 540, 60. Since it is lap connected, A is equal to P, that is 4. So then you will be getting what? Induced, no load induced EMF, that is EB naught is equal to 225 volts. 225 volts. So this is the first parameter, induced EMF. That is induced EMF EB naught is equal to 225 volts. Then coming to the second parameter. Second parameter is what? We need to calculate armature current IA. Since it is running on load, no load, light load means it is almost all no load. For that sake, here current becomes, armature current becomes no load armature current. We know that second parameter is what? To calculate armature current. So We know that voltage equation of DC motor is what? V is equal to EB plus IARA. V is equal to EB plus IARA. Then V as it is, EB is what here? EB naught, IA naught, and RA. So what is this EB naught here? Already we have calculated no load back EMF, that is 225. And voltage for the motor is how much here? What is the input?
230 volts.
230. So it is 230. Where is that? V is 230, EB naught is 225. Just now we have calculated. No load current you need to calculate, and armature resistance is given in the problem here. How much armature resistance? RA value is 0.8 ohms. 0.8 ohms. So after substituting all the values, if you finally calculate IA naught will be 6.25 ampere because it is no load armature current. Okay, so you have calculated no load back EMF and no load armature current. Then third parameter is what? To calculate the stray loss. Okay. On no load, power developed is fully the power required to overcome the stray loss. So it is not, what is that? If it is not connected to any load, then whatever power it is developing, that power will be wasted just to overcome the stray loss. That is the meaning. So stray loss is equal to, loss is nothing but measured in terms of watts. Yes or no? Loss is nothing but in terms of watt. Watt means what? It is a unit for power. It is a unit for power. So therefore, stray loss is nothing but product of no load voltage, that is nothing but no load back EMF, and no load current, that is no load armature current. So the product of EV naught into IA naught will give you the information regarding stray loss. That is product of EV naught, IA naught. So what is EV naught value? 225. IA naught is 6.25. So stray loss will be 1406.25 watts. 1406.25 watts. 1406.25 watts. This is what I told you. It is very easy to calculate for first two parameters. Just to for the other two parameters, you need to make use of some other formulas. That is why I told you. Then coming to the fourth point. Fourth parameter is you should calculate for lost torque. Here lost torque formula is given by TF product of EB naught IA naught. What is this EB naught IA naught?
Stray loss.
Stray loss divided by no load angular speed. Angular speed omega is nothing but 2 pi n by 60, but here it is running at light load, means almost no load. So n is replaced by n naught here. Omega is 2 pi n by 60. So n is replaced by n naught here. So anyhow, EB naught IA naught is nothing but the stray loss, that is to be 1406.25 divided by 2 pi n naught. N naught means what? No load speed. What is the no load speed? Machine is running at a DC motor is running at a speed of 1000 RPM. So this will be 1000. This 60 goes to the numerator. So if you solve it, then lost torque TF is equal to 13.428 Newton meter. 13.428 Newton meter. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what I have planned for the next class is to explain the characteristics for DC series, DC shunt, and DC compound motor. So to study the performance of the motor, you need to study the three characteristics related to the motor. So the first characteristics is torque versus IA, and the second characteristics is speed versus armature current, and the third characteristics is speed versus torque. So those three characteristics, before going to the actual characteristics, I would like to just brief out what those characteristics will tell you. Okay, characteristics of DC, shunt, series, and compound motor. DC, shunt, series, and compound motor. See here, performance of a DC motor under various conditions can be judged by the following characteristics. So if it is an electrical DC motor, if I want to say this motor is best, so to say that this motor is working very satisfactorily or in the optimal condition or as a best motor, you should test for three conditions. If those three performing characteristics are satisfied, then you can say that motor is best. Okay. So what is that first parameter? That first parameter is torque versus armature current. That is denoted by T versus IA. So now The graph showing the relationship between torque versus armature current characteristics, these are called electrical characteristics. So I want to check the electrical characteristics. That means it is torque versus armature current. Torque is what? Force. And here armature current is electrical quantity. So this torque versus armature current, if you plot using the graph, then that characteristics we call it as torque versus armature current characteristics. And these characteristics, they are called as electrical characteristics. Why? Because it will tell us if with the change in the torque, how much is the armature current, or else if armature current changes, then what will be the mechanical output, that is the torque. By with the change in the armature current, how the torque will respond, how the torque will change, that is nothing but what? Electrical characteristics. Then comes the second parameter, speed versus armature current characteristics. Speed means denoted by capital N, armature current means as usual IA. So what is this N versus IA characteristics? So this is the graph showing the relationship between speed and the armature current. So with the change in the armature current, how the speed of the DC motor will change. So if that is the case, then that graph we call it as speed versus armature current characteristics. That is N versus IA. And this is the second performance measuring characteristics of DC motor. Third one is what? Speed versus torque. Speed versus torque means speed is what here? Whether it is mechanical or electrical quantity. Yes? Speed, whether it is mechanical or electrical.
Mechanical, sir.
Mechanical.
Mechanical. And what about torque?
Mechanical.
Torque is also mechanical, speed is also mechanical. So now this speed versus torque graph, it is called as mechanical because both they are nothing but the mechanical quantities. But in the first case, torque versus armature current, it is the electrical characteristics. If you come to know about T versus IA performance, then you are going to estimate for electrical characteristics. If it is speed versus torque, then it is mechanical characteristics. Why? Because both these parameters are mechanical quantity. Now let us see here. This is the graph showing the relationship between speed and the torque. So with the change in the torque of the motor, how the speed of the motor will change. If that is the case, then that graph we call it as speed versus torque characteristics, and it is also called as mechanical characteristics. Yes, is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So now, in order to study all these characteristics, torque versus IA or N versus IA or N versus T, you want basic equation. What is that basic equation? Torque equation. So in the beginning, we have seen torque equation is given by what? Nature of the DC motor characteristics can be easily obtained using speed and torque equation. So in order to explain for about all these characteristics, T versus IA, N versus IA, or N versus T, you should know the torque equation of DC motor, which we have derived just now. So T is equal to what? 0.159 pi IA PZ by A Newton meter. And I told you that from these 0.159 is constant, IA is constant, sorry, P, Z and A, all they are constant. And which is the only variable quantity here?
Flux into armature current.
Flux into armature current. So torque is directly proportional to flux into IA. And now this equation plays very important role in order to explain the above characteristics. Because rest of the things 0.159 Pz by A, it is constant. Flux again from this equation I told you that flux, it all depends upon which type of motor you are dealing with. Right? If it is DC series motor, then IA pi is directly proportional to IAC, that is directly proportional to IA. Then your torque equation pi becomes what? IA. Then in that case, it will be IA square. So torque DC series motor is having large current, large starting torque. But if it is DC shunt motor, in the DC shunt motor, applied voltage is constant. If applied voltage is constant, then flux is constant. If flux is constant, then I can say that torque is directly proportional to what?
IA.
Simply it is torque is directly proportional to IA. which will be getting linear graph for DC shunt motor, but for DC series motor, you will be getting parabolic nature. That is, T is directly proportional to Ia square. So based on this, I can say that DC shunt motor, it is used for constant torque application. Like for example, lathe machine, milling machine, and all. There you can make use of DC shunt motor. But if you see the characteristics of what DC series motor, it is characterized by high starting torque. It is having high power. So wherever the application you want for high power application, like lifting of cranes, elevators, traction and all, traction means electrical trains, there you can find the use of DC series motor. So this will tell us where to use the appropriate motor. So DC shunt motor, it is having constant linear graph. So constant flux means torque is directly proportional to Ia. So whichever application they want constant torque, there you can make use of DC shunt motor. Like for example, printing press, lathe machine, milling machine. There you are going to make use of DC shunt motor. But the load applications, like wherever you want heavy load torque requirement, like in the case of cranes, elevators, lifts, there you can make use of DC series motor. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, in order to study all these characteristics, I should know torque equation. And from the torque equation, torque is directly proportional to pi into Ia. And once again, it all depends upon which type of motor. If it is DC shunt motor, then flux is constant, then torque is directly proportional to simply Ia. If it is series motor, then pi can be replaced by Ia, because Ia is equal to Isc, which is directly proportional to pi. Then torque becomes Ia square, that is parabolic nature. Okay. So this is all about what? Characteristics of DC shunt motor and DC series motor. So for DC shunt motor, torque is directly proportional to Ia. And for DC series motor, torque is directly proportional to Ia square. This is just basics, whatever I am explaining for you now. But now, whatever this Ia and Ia square I am explaining here, for all these things, you should represent it using graph. Graphically, you should show the nature of the graph here. Then similarly, back EMF is given by what? P pi NZ by 60A. From this, what all parameters are constant? Z is constant, P is constant, 60 is constant, A is constant. Then I can say that EB is directly proportional to speed and flux. That is speed N and flux pi. And from this, if you want to separate speed, then N is directly proportional to EB by pi. So once again, this is also very important to explain the speed versus torque characteristics. N is directly proportional to EB by pi. But we know that voltage equation is given by what? V for the DC motor. Voltage equation is V is equal to EB plus IARA. Then EB becomes what? V minus IARA. So now this EB equation, EB is equal to V minus IARA. Just to replace it here. Substitute this EB value as V minus IARA. Then speed is directly proportional to what? V minus IARA by pi. So in order to control the speed of the DC motor, we are going to make use of this concept. This concept is used to control the speed of the DC motor. If you want more speed, then decrease the flux. If I decrease the flux, then speed will be increasing or decreasing? Increasing. So this is called as flux control method. If you go for armature voltage control method, flux you will be keeping constant. Keeping flux constant means what? ISC should not be altered. Current ISC should be maintained constant. Current, if you want to maintain constant of the field winding, means you should not vary the field rheostat. You should go for the speed application. If you want less rated RPM, means go for armature voltage control method. Armature voltage control method means what? Here you are given with Ia into Ra. So Ra is what? Armature resistance. So along with the armature resistance, you add extra resistance, that is Rext. So this is the extra resistance what we are connecting with in series with the armature part. So if R external is connected along with Ra, then resistance will be increased. If resistance will be increased, then IaRa plus R external drop, this will increase. If this is going to increase, this increase in the drop will get deducted from the applied voltage. So altogether this whole term becomes what? Increased or decreased? This will
Decreased.
be decreased. If this will be decreasing, then speed will be directly proportional, means what? Automatically speed will come down. So numerator part means this is armature voltage control method. Denominator part means it is flux control method, which you have already conducted the experiment in the laboratory. I hope you have conducted. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then, and all these equations are very important while explaining the above characteristics. Just whatever I am recalling here, these equations are very important to explain the characteristics of DC shunt series or compound motor. Whenever they ask, draw and explain the characteristics for DC shunt motor, then you should explain for T versus IA, N versus IA, and N versus T. And to explain all these things, you need to take the help of torque equation, speed equation. Here, whatever I'm dealing today is completely basics that is required for the next upcoming class, where I'm going to explain the characteristics for all the three types of DC motors. Okay. Then N is directly proportional to V minus IARA. Flux is constant. Flux is constant. Then it is called as armature voltage control method. Or else I can say that N is directly proportional to 1 upon pi, keeping the numerator part constant. Keeping the numerator part constant means armature voltage you should maintain constant, and you need to change only for the flux quantity. Then in that case, it is called as flux control method. And this flux control method will give you the speed more than the rated RPM. More than the rated RPM. So this is all for series motor, sorry, shunt motor. And if you take for the series motor, the equation for the EB will change here. So the equation for EB will be V minus IARA minus IA into RSC. Can you tell me why? Because in the series motor, you will be having series winding, right? If this is the plus minus voltage, here you will be having IL, here you will be having IL, here you will be having which current? ISC. EB. Pi is what? Pi is directly proportional to, in case of series motor, pi is directly proportional to ISC. But in the case of series motor, ISC is equal to IA. ISC is equal to IA. So pi changes to what? So now pi changes to IA. So this is the speed equation for DC series motor. If it is DC shunt motor, then it will be simply EB by pi. Because here flux is constant, then I can say for the DC shunt motor, N is directly proportional to EB, that is V minus IARA divided by pi. If it is DC series motor, then N is directly proportional to V minus IARA minus IA into RAC divided by pi means pi changes to IA. Why? Because pi is directly proportional to ISC and ISC is equal to IA. So pi this can be replaced by IA term. Is it clear? So using all these equations only, we are going to plot the graph. Then finally comes the concept as speed regulation. Speed regulation means what? Controlling the speed. Speed regulation for a DC motor is defined as ratio of change in the speed corresponding to no load and full load to the speed corresponding to full load. Means by the time when you keep on changing the load, what is the, if you don't connect any load, then what will be the speed of the motor? Is it maximum or minimum? If you don't connect any load, whether speed will be increasing or decreasing? Will it be high?
Increase.
It will be high.
Increasing.
So that no load speed is maximum. So after you connect certain load, automatically speed will reduce. So by what value the speed has been reduced with respect to the maximum speed? So that drop in the speed you will come to know with the help of speed regulation concept. With the help of speed regulation concept, and that speed regulation is written in the form of change in no load speed to the full load divided by full load speed into 100. So at what percentage of the full load the speed has been reduced after connecting some load? So that concept is nothing but speed regulation, like how you have studied for voltage regulation. So voltage regulation will tell you how much there is a drop in the voltage. Similarly, speed regulation will tell you how much there is a drop in the speed. Is it clear? Yes. So go through all these concepts, and in the next class I will explain for characteristics. So before going to explain for the characteristics of shunt, series and compound motor, you need to know all these basics. Only then you will understand the characteristics. So to explain all those characteristics, you should know you should have the knowledge of torque equation, torque how it is changing for shunt motor, torque how it is changing for series motor, back EMF is how you are going to control the speed. All these formulas knowledge you should have before going to study for the characteristics of DC, shunt, series or compound motor, which I will be explaining in the upcoming classes. Is it clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.